Officially called the People's Republic of China, China is located in East Asia with the capital being Beijing. Although Beijing is the capital, Shanghai is the largest city within this country. Despite it being so large, China only has one time zone to follow. In addition, China has the highest population of any country in the world despite it being only the fourth largest. Chinese culture and civilization is one of the oldest in the world. China also has extremely diverse landscapes, which gives the opportunity for the country to be very biodiverse. This means they have a very diverse and unique set of plants and animals in the country, although the numbers are decreasing due to population and environmental issues. In recent years, China has been deemed one of the fastest growing economies in the world, including becoming one of the world's largest exporters and importers, although it was not always this way. There used to be a rich history of culture, art, and literature dating back to the earliest of their civilization. Poetry and literature have played a role in traditional culture dating back to the beginning of this civilization, and it is a major role today in the daily lives of the about 1.4 million people in the Chinese population.
Several traditions settle around the engagement and wedding ceremonies in Chinese culture. Beginning with the engagement, social customs often demand the groom's family to present gifts, often food and cake, when announcing the engagement. Traditional wedding invitations are red with gold accents. They often hold an image of double happiness. Double happiness cakes are presented to family and friends, accompanying an invitation. In Chinese custom, the groom picks up his bride and travels to the marriage ceremony with her. A special tea ceremony is performed with just the family and the bridal party. Traditional Chinese tea is shared, and a red envelope of money is gifted to the bride and groom. Chinese tradition calls for a bride to wear red.
In Chinese culture, family is a vastly important aspect of daily life. Once married, it is expected to be permanent, even though many do not marry out of love, but for stability. After becoming married, many couples will move in with the husband's family to live with them. This means it is not uncommon for households to have approximately 9 people to be living together at one time. In part to trying to reduce the country's population, the government encourages people to have 2 or fewer children. University students are also required to wait until they graduate to get married.
Like many of the world's societies, there are several social norms around food. As is the custom in many areas of the U.S., the person who hosts an event pays for the food. Likewise, it's good to offer to pay before allowing someone else to pick up your portion of the bill. If you are hosting the meal, be sure to order more food than you would possibly need, as this is a sign of prosperity. Meals are generally served family style, where a few large portions are brought to the table and the food gets passed around. It is respectful to serve others first, so make sure your neighbor has plenty before adding to your own plate. A significant social difference, however, is found in the customs around drinking alcohol. When a person wants to drink, they do not simply pour into their own cup. Another person must pour into your cup for you to have alcohol. Therefore, if you want to drink, pour into your neighbor's cup, so they will pour into yours. In Chinese culture, a person's family name or surname comes first. The given name, or as we understand it, the first name, comes last. While one's name order is important, another lesson worth learning is to never write a person's name in red. Having one's name written in red is considered a bad omen, since red is symbolic of blood. Some other commonalities which would be abnormal in American society is yelling, pushing, and shoving. Business is often conducted with loud voices, even yelling. Likewise, lines for trains and buses are often skipped, since public transportation runs very full and people simply push and shove their way on. One thing you should never do is wear your outside shoes in the house. Shoes are to be quickly replaced with slippers.
Communication is a huge part of everyday life, no matter where you are. One thing that you might not know is that in China, nonverbal communication speaks more volume than verbal. Chinese culture relies heavily on facial expressions when communicating. If someone is speaking to you, making direct eye contact is considered disrespectful and an invasion of privacy. So many times in large groups or crowds of people, they will avoid eye contact. Another big facial expression in Chinese culture is frowning. This shows disagreement, so when someone is speaking to you, it is best to maintain a neutral expression. In a more professional aspect of Chinese culture, meetings should always be made by appointment and, if possible, should be made within 1 or 2 months in advance. These appointments should also be made in writing. If you have scheduled a meeting, it is expected that you arrive on time or slightly early. The Chinese view punctuality as a virtue. If you arrive late, it is considered extremely insulting. During any meetings, visual aids are very important but should only be done with black type on plain white background. Certain colors have special meanings. If you are not careful, your color choice might be detrimental. Also, any written material should also be done in Chinese and English. Generally, in China, gifts are given for special occasions such as Chinese New Year, births, and birthdays. Although gift giving is a big thing, there are many things about the subject in Chinese culture. For example, simple things like scissors, knives, or sharp cutting utensils are associated with ending the relationship between two parties involved. Small gestures that we find endearing, such as giving someone flowers, is not the same in Chinese culture. Giving someone flowers is different because the Chinese often associate these with funerals. As with flowers, clocks and straw sandals are also associated with death and funerals. When giving gifts, one should not wrap them in blue, black, or white paper.
In China, they have different festivals than other cultures. One of their big festivals is the Lantern Festival that occurs around February and March each year. Many years ago, people lit the lanterns to honor their gods and went to the temple to pray for their nation. Today, this festival is different, and people see it as a time to celebrate togetherness and unity with their families. Now, during this festival, there are lantern parades held in the cities, and the celebration lasts late into the night. Another big festival China has is the Dragon Boat Festival, which celebrates loyalty and it shows respect to parents and elders of the country. There is a myth about how this festival was started. It is said that a famous poet threw himself into the river as a sacrifice, and the townspeople tried to save his body using boats. In modern China, the festival is now used to host events by businesses. This represents building a better corporate culture, and as an event for the business people, they race the dragon boats. China does many more festivals, but the last one that is going to be mentioned is the Mid-Autumn Festival. This festival was originally used to celebrate good harvest and to pray for the good harvest to continue. During this festival, Chinese people believe that it is the time that the moon looks the most round to Earth. The families come together and eat moon cakes to show them coming together. It seems as those Chinese festivals that are tradition are used to bring people together and used to be a time for praying. China has 56 ethnic groups and has 5,000 years of ancient Chinese culture due to these groups coming together. The basic elements of Chinese practice include pottery and sculpture, elaborate printing and painting techniques, sciences, and arts. They also have a history of excellent architectural designs that are respected all over the world. Chinese politics, philosophy, and religion have left a lasting and collective impression on Chinese tradition and culture. Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism form the pillars of Chinese cultural practices. Today, the rest of the world has started borrowing from some of the elements of these practices, values, and beliefs. Such include the widespread practice of yoga and the belief in karma. Thus, Westernization has not only adversely impacted the Chinese culture by diluting its strength, but has also helped it spread to other parts of the continent. The country only managed to defend and retain their unique identity and culture until the mid-19th century when the advent of the Western culture took over. Hence, the current Chinese culture presents a mix of westernized lifestyle and the old world traditions of the country. Some of its buildings have been built in forms of towering skyscrapers. However, there remains some level of uniqueness in the culture, beliefs, and practices of Chinese people that continue to set them apart from the rest of the world.